Don't blink if you blink. Part two of our thing. Usually, of our Zoljas finale of Lost. Usually, when I film at night, there's not a problem of. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Pray tell. Pray tell. There's not a problem of overheating, but there's been nights. So guess what? When we need to work, we need to work. Fine. So I think the flashback is the best way to do it. I think it'll be a bit more complex because there's so many of them. I'm usually good when it comes to flashback because I have to focus on one main character. So it'll be a bit more complex. However, it's kind of cool because we get everything. So the first thing we got, it's Michael and his son. Walt sees you see the city, you see the view, and then he puts on Power Ranger. And you're gonna feel bad for him is because he doesn't have any power of what to do. You know, I think he sees the city and says, "This is whole city, but it's not my city." So he's realized that he left Sydney, right? And then he freaks out. Kind of sucks because this is one of the worst moments. He's like, he tells his father, like, leave me alone. What do you understand about leave me alone? I don't know this man. This guy's a stranger. So it's actually really hard. And it's what, and you see, Sawyer in a later episode will tell him, if it was me, I would slap that kid. Right? And Michael is in a position where he doesn't want to slap the kid. But at the same time, I think I was slapping the kid, so I'm pro slapping. However, would I do my kids the way I was done? No. I would try to communicate with them. However, I think there's time where I would be a bit more strict, you know. And would I reach that point? I don't think so. But I don't know. If my parents didn't hit me, I would have been taken away. I would have been put in a child protecting services, CPS, because I hurt myself. My father was telling me like, "Hey, don't jump from there." I jumped from there, broke my leg. My father was like, "Hey, don't play with this." I cut myself open. So, yeah, my father had to. Otherwise, I wasn't gonna be his son anymore. I was gonna be somebody else's son, and I don't think you want to be somebody else's son. I had amazing parents. We have Jack on it. It's kind of cool because he meets this girl called Ana Lucia. Ana Lucia is gonna be super, 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 super important. I'm gonna give you a spoiler. In season 2, we meet other people, right? And then we think it's the others. And because we see the others, we see Ana Lucia, and we know that she was on the plane. It's like, okay, yeah, she's one of us, right? And it's funny because she's the only one we see. So this is really good writing. Again, there's 4 people. They threw Ana Lucia down the hole, which are keeping our group of survivor captive. And because we know that she's a survivor, we think that it is. Or she's part of the other group, right? So I thought that was really freaking nice. They promise each other a date, which is cool. We have Sawyer, who is kicked out of Australia, which is weird because they don't want him. So instead of, you know what he says? He says you're gonna cost us more what you're worth for the jail. So instead of putting you in jail, what we're gonna do is we're gonna expose you from Australia. That was pretty nice. I thought it was pretty neat. We have Kate, how dangerous she is. Why there's a need for 5 guns. We have who else? Should be a couple more, right? We have Shannon and Boone, and this is kind of disgusting because Shannon is again a piece of crap. So Saeed, which is our boyfriend now, comes in and he brings her back and says, "Sorry, I have nothing to do. Can you please check over my bag?" And she's like, "Sure, whatever." And then she leaves the bag there. And then she tells the airport security, like there's an Arab guy that left his bag unattended, putting Saeed in problem. And we're actually gonna get Saeed and a big deal of problem because of Shannon. See, this is just showing you how shitty she is. That's my problem. Shannon has way more time than Boone in the show. But then Boone redeemed himself by being one of the most amazing characters. Shannon is a shitty character, and the relationship is possibly the only nice thing there is about her. But at the time, she's kind of unstoppable. She's kind of a Bitches. The problem is not to swear. I'm gonna add an S because she's more than a single. She is more than one. That's pretty much it for the flashbacks. So there you go. The first thing we see is Danielle reaching the camp. So Danielle's gonna come in, and this is super cool because she comes in harmed. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with her introduction. I have a little bit of a problem in her camp. She just wasn't in the camp. It's like, yo, I'm here to help you out, and I'm here. Like, she doesn't really take her precautions. She has a weapon. She has a gun, which she can shoot. But how many people can she kill? 4 or 5? How many people are there? There's 46 people. She cannot shoot them all. She cannot kill them all, right? So it comes in as unprepared. It is coming from a person that survived on her own for so many years. So it feels a bit weird, you know? Next thing that we have is John and Jack that are talking about. So basically, what they're saying is, okay, well, there's this other group. There's this black smoke when they took my son or my baby. There was some black smoke, so they're possibly coming. Yeah, they're coming after you. Now, the cool thing is her, which is actually kind of very nice. Her side of the story would make no sense except kind of got confirmation from her, from Ethan. Ethan being a bad guy, you were able to say there is bad guys. Now, later on, we learned that her and Ethan are on the same squad. How? Because Ethan kidnapped Claire, and Claire hurt Daniel. So that's why they were in the same camp. That's how you can deduce that they were in the same camp. Home shells you can find. They're looking for an escape. Everybody is putting themselves together. Everybody is helping. It's a super cool scene because Jack tells Michael's like, yo, you're actually doing pretty good. And at the beginning of the show, we have Arts, which is a science teacher, like I said yesterday. And Arts, the problem with Arts is that he is introduced as a character that is super important and super useful just to be killed later on. So it's like, why did you introduce him? Right? It's a wasted character. Is he a character that could have liked? No. Character that could have been important? Yes. Could he have been doing more for the show? Absolutely. Which is a shame that he didn't do it. So he tells them, yo, this is too late. So they build up the ship super fast, and then Jack is like, yo, what do you need? I said, I need everybody to help me push the boat to help me push the boat. So what they do is actually a really cool system. They put palm tree there, which is a system of treadmill, if you will. So you put pieces. Oh, my phone is too hot. And we finish at rank 17. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. What am I supposed to do? I have to change skin? Okay, I have to change skin. Your boy is busy. There you go. Okay. I'm on the radio. So what you do with the treadmill, which is actually kind of cool, is you are. There you go. You are. How do I say this? You're bringing motion, right? So instead of constantly pushing, you are pushing on something that's already rolling. So there's already some motion, and you just have to follow. So, for example, you're aware that when you push something, people will say, "Don't stop pushing, don't stop pushing," because if you stop, we're gonna be effed up, right? Now this is what they're doing. This is exactly what they're doing. They're pushing, pushing, pushing. Holy schnitzel! You're not good. You are not good. Whoa! Holy snaps! What are we doing? 5% plus. I think I'll go for landmine. Yeah, we're gonna play the tower a little bit because I'm re-rolling some things that are kind of important. I can't go too fast because I'm gonna be missing something. I need. Oh, Orb Speed would have been good. Orb Speed would have been good, but I'm looking for legendary. Yeah, so with your treadmill, knockback chance, this is perfect. This is really good. This is really good. New. And we'll do max. A hundo. Perfect. Perfection. We'll do max, which is perfection. Nice. Get a lot stronger. Cool, cool, cool. So we have this, and we have the ships at sea. See, the ship being at sea, like I said, it's kind of like a really cool thing because in Lost, there's not really such a thing as arc. They're all falling into the same thing. Um, they're all falling into the same thing of surviving on the island. The ship is kind of like an arc. It's the proof that we can leave this island. Now, as to whether they're successful or not, and this, I would be surprised to see how many people really believe that the plan to leave the island on the raft will actually lead them to being safe, will actually leave them to finding the island. I would be surprised by how many people would do that. However, um, there's some belief which I like. The crew that leaves is again Sawyer, Jin, and and Walt. Yeah, yeah, there's four. Michael, Sawyer, Jin, and Walt. Yeah. Oh, Vincent. No, Vincent doesn't leave. Vincent doesn't leave. So it's actually super cool. Daniel coming in. We have John and Locke. Now the question is, do we defend ourselves or do we hide? So then Danielle brings up a point. She's like, yo, I'm alone. I can't hide. You are 40 people. The heck you gonna do, bro? And Jack's like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So he comes in the position of not sure what to do, but he also comes in the position where he has black people. See, there's a problem. Jack put himself in a leadership position, so the decision is ultimately to him. The weird thing is, Locke does have some leadership, but nobody sees Locke a leader, right? Locke could possibly be a better leader than Jack. But then it would lead them astray. So, actually, I know the fact that is Jack is the leader here. We have Art that is there. So they know that there's a hatch, right? And then they see the hatch and they say, yo, we can open it. So Daniel says, I don't know how to open this, but I have some dynamite. Now, this makes sense in a way where Daniel kept referring to something called Le Rocher Noir, which is in French for black rock. The black rock, we think it's a rock. If we think it's a rock, we think it's a mountain. No, it's the name of a ship. So it actually makes sense that the black rock is a ship. Where I actually adore this is that they really put the emphasis on we need the dynamite, right? So now Art, which was a character that we met last week, why is it a good, cool thing? It's a cool thing without being a cool thing. It's a cool thing in a sense where you have this character that was recently introduced. So he's not a plot, a plot mover. You don't need it to move the plot. However, it's a character that we know that there is, and because we know that he's there, we can advance the plot in some ways. That's the pros of doing it a bit earlier. And he says, I can manage the dynamites. So I want to come with you guys. However, this feels crappy because at the middle of the show, he leaves. Also, Jax brings all the gun, which is not a safe bet. We have a really cool scene where Sawyer and Jack talk.
Dogs. Knock them around enough.
Why is it a cool scene?
About a week before we all got on the plane.
Wait a second. Because I want to. This is an important scene. It's a very important scene too. We see Sawyer. He's cutting down the mat. Which is his contribution.
Lumberjack. Excuse me? Never asked you what you did. Back to the building. Take the wildcats. Something I can help you with, Doc. Still working. Got something for you.
Jack using the gun. Do you want to survive?
Up for just in case. Think we're gonna run out of food and water? We're supposed to put the kid out of his misery.
No.
Just in case.
I love this show.
The rest of them. Get them safe. Going in the jungle after the boat takes off. Yeah. Now we get back, we got the water. This is first goodbye. Yeah, I guess Bucks, right? Jack.
That's my man. That's Sawyer. That's my boy. There you go.
Oh, wait, before y'all got on the plane. Got to talk to this man at the bar in the city.
Okay, this is the important part. See, Jack does the right thing. He's literally being purchased by other people. He's being putting the whole campus in danger. They have 5 guns. We don't know how many people there is, and he still give a gun to Sawyer, which is possibly a gun that he needs more than Sawyer. So Sawyer sees this as a nice gesture. See, Jack, this is one of my favorite scenes of the first season, on for sure. Jack, he sees this, and Sawyer sees it and says like, well, this is a real nice thing. Sawyer regret not telling Jack about his father, because his father, so in the previous episode we have Jack says it's like the Red Sox will never win, and then Sawyer's like, why do you say that? It's like, oh, this is the old thing my father would say, which makes Sawyer said, oh, I know your father. Why is this so important? It is extremely important because Sawyer had a chance to do a right thing. Now, you could see Sawyer as evolving to a better person, and he regrets that. And then when he says goodbye, he's this close on to telling Jack. And then he tells a story about Jack. He tells a story how he met his father, how his father loved him, how his father was actually proud of him. He gives Jack the closure he needed. So see, there's choice to watch it. Sawyer felt obligated as a thank you for the gun, or Sawyer saw this as a design opportunity, and then he did the right thing. See, I think you can be an asshole your whole life. I personally believe that you can do horrible stuff in your life. It matters how you finish. For example, if there's this guy, who's horrible, right? And he's horrible, and he's horrible, and he's horrible. And then at the end of his life, what he does is he gives money to the youth. He helps starving children. He builds bridges in impoverished countries. It's a redemption. Sawyer could be this act by Sawyer could be seen as a redemption. Is it a good redemption? No. Is it a redemption nonetheless? Yes. Is it gonna save everything and everyone? No. Are we still proud of him? Yes. See, and I meant what I said way back, like way back. Sawyer is such an asshole that whatever he does that's somewhat nice, you're impressed, because like, wow, I didn't expect this from Sawyer. That's pretty much it. We got everybody. That's a super sweet scene. That's a very sweet scene. They're whatchamacallit? They're going around the beach to say goodbye. People are putting a letter and a bottle. Now, the letter and the bottle is not the most important scene. It's actually a pretty boring scene. It doesn't bring anything, but it is still something that's nice. However, there is an importance to the letters, because they'll crash. The raft will crash, and then when the raft crashes, they find the bottle back on the island, which means that these guys failed. Now the question is, these guys failed. It is a complex thing, because if these guys fail, are they okay? People say, oh, we found the island, we don't know if they're okay. And nobody does more than that. It's just like, oh my god, they're dead. And that's it. Okay, well, too bad. Which I thought was a bit weird. And then, if this happens a chance to get saved, then at the raft exchange, you should be sad. But they're not sad. Which kind of like a problem. Again, another relationship. We got our main crew, which is now, I'm going to show you the characters. It's Early, it's Ants, it's Kate, it's Jack, and it's John. Before they leave, Kate is sad because Sawyer didn't show up. So they say goodbye. Sawyer didn't show up to say goodbye, which meant she doesn't have a chance to say goodbye. Art is afraid of the jungle, so he runs away. Just to come back later on and say, no. This jungle is super scary. We got Walt, who's leaving, and actually does something nice for Shannon. He says, and this, to be honest, is possibly the only nice thing that Shannon does, which is actually kind of nice. If she did something amazing in the show, this is what she did. So Walt gave her the dog and said, hey, when I lost my mom, Vincent was there for me. I know you lost your brother, I'm going to give you Vincent. And then we learned later on that it meant a lot to him to give Vincent. It was a nice gesture from Walt. Walt was a decent human being in this scene. Now, later on, we learned that Walt didn't make it because the raft didn't make it. And then Shannon's like, yo, I love the dog because we know, and this is cool because we saw since episode number 1 that Vincent likes to run off. He goes away. He doesn't listen to anybody. So Shannon's like, I can't lose that dog. I can't tell that kid that I lost his dog. So she cares for Vincent for Walt, which is actually quite nice. We got another flashback. We find the Black Rock, which is actually important. We got one of the nicest scenes. We got Sun who didn't want her husband to leave. He was doing anything for her husband not to leave. But guess what? She gives him a gift, which is super important. So I'm getting emotional because it's a really cool scene. It's sad. No, they love each other. So she gives him a list of words phonetically speaking. So he's gonna be able to talk to Sawyer, and he's gonna be able to talk to Jen. It's actually super nice. It's actually super, super important. See, that's the thing. It's actually quite a nice scene. It gives a scene. Then the next one is Jen's a good dude. I love Jen. He's hugging Charlie, even though Charlie's a bit of a mess. We got Sawyer. I mean, and that's the sad thing. Sawyer sees Jen and Sun being too close. And he looks around. He's looking for Kate. So he didn't get to say goodbye, and she didn't get to say goodbye. Everybody's super happy. They are living on the raft. And Vincent goes out for the boat. So that's actually pretty nice. And that's part 1. We got part 2. Like JoJo's part 2. Again, we got a problem with the phone because it's too hot, but it's okay. It's okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go with the flashbacks. Oh. Okay, let's go. After the raft left, the people that are left, though people who are left on the island are doing everything they can to run away from the black smoke. On her side, Claire is panicking, knowing that the others are interested in her baby, which is not true. So what happened is, spoiler, Danielle thinks that she can trade the baby of Claire for her own baby. Which is 16 years old. That doesn't make any sense. She thinks that she can trade it. So by being interested in her baby, she is interested in her baby. That's pretty much it. This is the flashbacks. We're gonna finish season 1 today, guys. So the first flashback that we have is way later. See, this is what I was talking about when you can binge it. Imagine that the 3 last episodes are part 1, part 2, part 3. That means a lot. We have the first one is by Jin. So Jin, we know that he's going to Los Angeles to leave. Jin is going to Los Angeles because to leave the father of Sun, to leave his life behind, because his father tells him run away and never look back. This guy is no good. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. We gotta remember after we tell it, because this is very important. Jin did a lot of job for Sun's father to get her hand in marriage. So what ended up happening is Jin left. He went to see his father. He's like, if you really like her, leave everything behind, take her and run away. So he does. And then in the bathroom, you see this guy, and this guy tells him, yo, I'm with Mr. Pink, so you better be doing some job for him in Los Angeles. It's just kind of shitty because it's her father. It's super shitty. But that's the first flashback. The second one is a little bit after. It's Charlie and a junkie. Now this scene is supposed to present how shitty his life is. So how shitty his life is actually quite an important thing. So basically, he is a junkie. He's sleeping with another junkie, and they're fighting for drugs, and he's lying to her, and they're literally fighting for her. And then the junkie, to get close to him, said, hey, I'm a fan of your band. We realize she's not a fan of the band. Which we realize that Charlie doesn't have a lot of fan left. See, Charlie career pretty much dead. Pretty much dead. He had a chance at another life, and then he lost it because he stole from the people. You know? So there is a lot of things that are within that. You see this phone? Okay, it's red. It's starting to go red. It's starting to go black. The LED is not good. The OLED. But yeah, that's kind of bad. The next flashbacks. Yeah. We did. We got Walt and Michael. See, Michael is, and this is the coolest scene. I fucking love this. Michael goes in and he called his mom and said, "Mom, that kid is hard. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it." And see, it's amazing because Michael's whole personal life is being a dad. Michael's whole desire was to be a dad, but he never really envisioned what it was to be like a dad. He wanted to be a dad without knowing what it was. Now he has a kid who's not the easiest kid to have, it again, he's not supposed to be the easiest kid because it's a complex relationship. So in this case, it kind of makes sense. Okay, next we have. So he asks his mom, and his mom's like, "No, you're on your own. You got this." She's kind of cool. Which is kind of cool. And already, last flashback. There's only 2 in this one. So we have a reminder. Give me a sec. I want to see Charlie punch Sade. Oh, he didn't punch him. So yeah, so Charlie goes to Sade and says, "Yo, I need a gun to protect Claire." He's like, "Don't, bro, you're not safe with a gun. I cannot trust you with a gun." He tells him bullshit that he's emotionally involved, but the truth is, Charlie is unstable with a gun. See, that's the thing. It's, can you trust someone, right? So there's a really cool scene that's going on right now in this episode, where they discover they take the dynamite and they put it in the hatch, and then Jack see how involved John is, and Jack tells Kate, it's like, "Yo, we're gonna have a John Locke problem." Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because the John Locke problem is preceding or less important than the other problem. So we need Jack to help us, but by helping us, he's becoming more and more a problem. So we're taking care of one problem, but creating another one, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, we see the Black Rock, which is a ship. This ship was the one that Russo was on. We find the dynamite, and dynamite is extremely old and unstable. So I kind of like that. Amazing. I love this show so much. So we're wetting the dynamite because it's gonna make less. Now the funniest thing that happened is Art says, do anybody who knows, this is actually, I don't know if it's true. If it's true, it's amazing. He said, "Did you guys remember the guy who invented dynamite?" And like everybody's like, "No." He said, "Because he blew himself up with the nitroglycerin." He said Newton found the part of the body, saw that the guy was using dynamite, that it must have worked. This is how they discovered dynamite. If that's the truth, I am mind blown. One of the first things that I played was Crash Bandicoot, and we had the red boxes with TNT, which you could have a whatchamacallit. It's whatchamacallit. There's like a countdown, right? There's an actual, the second you touch, you're dead. So we have some people on the raft, which I actually really enjoy. So the people that we have on the raft, Michael, Jin, and Sawyer, we don't get to hear from Walt, but they're becoming closer and closer and closer. And like, yo, they're pretty cool. You can see Sawyer was singing Bob Marley. People thought that Sawyer was racist. Why do people think Sawyer's racist? Sawyer gave everybody in the camp nicknames. Now, some nicknames are mean, some nicknames are positive. Depending on what nickname you have, you can either say like, "Yo, this nickname is good. This nickname is not good." So it is important. If everybody has a nickname, then if the nickname is a positive thing, Sawyer likes you. If the nickname is a negative thing, Sawyer doesn't like you. I'm gonna lock the door because somebody came yesterday. Swear to God, somebody came yesterday, and they were playing with the handle. I was like, what the f? So let's lock the door just in case. Probably somebody that was drunk and thought that they had the right door, they didn't have the right door. I don't think it's a big deal, but in case it's a big deal, we'll take care of it. Am I afraid? Hell nah. I got a little weapon in the house. Problem is, the weapons are also available to anybody that comes in the house. I know where I put them, they don't. But I don't mean they cannot find them, you know? And if they come, I'm on the balcony, I can do shit. Kate and Hugo talk. Kate and Hugo have a really nice moment where Hugo tells her, "I bring bad luck," which is again the story of, this is the story of, how can I say this? The story of the lottery tickets. We have a little bit of an argument between Jack and John. There's a lot of dynamite stick. They don't need everything. Let's bring 3 each. And Jack says, "No, we only need 3." So yeah, but if one of us is blowing up, we need the sticks. Now, saying this is actually quite nice because John puts himself in like, hey, what if I blow up? We'll need you. What if you blow up? We'll need you. However, it is not really nice because I think John thinks that Alan protects him. And because I think that John thinks that Alan protects him, then he doesn't have to worry, he doesn't have to fear as much as Jack does. John could be thinking that if somebody had to die on the island, it would be Jack before him. You know? It could be something. We have Claire and Charlie, which have a very nice, very, very nice talk. We see Charlie goes out and leaves Claire alone with the baby with Danielle. Danielle shows her arm and there's a scratch, and that's where Claire said, "Hey, I hurt you. I don't remember why I hurt you, but I hurt you." This is super cool. So then Claire is attacked, and then Charlie is sad. So goes in and he punched Saeed, which he said that Saeed is his fault of Saeed because he did lead the weapon. And then Saeed in this one, the question, if he gave a gun to Charlie, it would have killed Danielle. But he didn't give a gun to Charlie, so Claire was attacked. He wasn't there. He wasn't there. And even if he was there, what if they had done, you know? So now there's a whole thing of who's gonna carry the dynamite. We are on it. There's a whole moral question of Sawyer is reading the letters that people wrote, right? So that's kind of something else. There's another thing where they're opening up the for the signal, and then it's a question of do we keep the batteries or do we don't keep the batteries? So Saeed tells Charlie, "Look, I'm gonna get wait a second. Wait a second. Saeed gave a gun to Charlie, and the question is like, he wants Charlie to come with him, and if Charlie comes with him, again, they're gonna find the baby back. It's actually pretty nice. We have some cool moments between Walt and Michael. Walt is being a good father, a really good father. He said, "Why didn't you come to see me?" Which is possibly why he was so mad. The boat breaks, and Sawyer's the one to jump in the water and help him, which is a nice move. But also Michael finds that he has a gun. Because he has a gun, this is a problem. So they leave the Black Rock, and people leave to hide, which is actually pretty good. Um, because again, Saeed and Charlie, who needs to go out. Charlie is being irrational because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. But there's three things that happen that are really important. He gets into a trap and he hits and he injures himself, which again shows how careless he is. First of all, he finds the statue of the Virgin Mary, which contains the heroine, which is super important, and they don't find her. So then Hugo's like, "Yo, what do you think there is?" And the hatch, and John says there's hope. And what does Hugo say out of this Twinkies? I kind of like that. Last episode of freaking Exodus Part 3. So we got the flashbacks, which is kind of important. This is whom? Oh yeah, we have Hugo that didn't wake up. Hugo didn't wake up because again it's luck. So the whole thing is about running and catching the bus, which actually ends up being a cool moment because at the end, everybody's happy that he's in the plane. Walt saw him run, and Walt is smiling because Hugo does this. So it's like a really cool moment together. Now there's also this thing where Hugo reads a comic. So you know the Spanish comic, the Flash comics. That's why we know it was Hugo's. So that's kind of neat to know that. We have John, and how embarrassing it is because he couldn't get in the bus because he didn't have the specific wheelchair. So they literally had to carry him, and that's to show that his life was kind of shitty. We have everybody get in the plane, Kate being strung together, stuff like that. So this is kind of important. This is really important. Okay, so we're back with the episode. We have a good pace because I want to do a TikTok live after that. There's a black smoke. Of course, John goes after the black smoke, and this is insane because that's when Jack knows. That's when Jack realized. See, he never paid attention to John. But that's when he realized how much John knows about the island and how much he believes in the island and how unstable he is, which is kind of like a big deal because again, like, dude, it's an island, chill. But then you have this whole scene where it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts, right? So there's this black smoke that we saw before, and the black smoke dragged John, and John tells Jack, let it take me, let it take me, let it take me. And in his mind, Jack is like, bro, you're crazy, you're insane. But then he was attacked by the island. So you see that John is kind of on edge. And you see how much John knows about the island, just more than him. So John could be a problem. It could be really a problem. So we have Sun and Claire. Sun has been a very good character lately. She's been a strength. Okay, it sucks. What I'm gonna say is disgusting, but this is the truth. She's been a role model to people like Shannon and to Claire. So she's the strongest woman on the island. And I feel like those people would go to Kate usually, but Kate is not there. So the Sun being a second like role model for them is actually really cool because we imply her more in the story, which is important because what did Sun do so far? She learned about speaking English. That's it. Oh, she saved Shannon for the asthma, and she helped Jack with Boone. So Jack gets injured. They do the whole trick of the gunpowder. So he has a wound, and he takes the gunpowder, and he cracked it, which is true. This is something that exists in real life. In real life, that's what you'll do. You'll in the olden days, what they would do is they take good gunpowder, and they would burn down. Because the gunpowder will burn down. So for example, what would happen? And this is actually a cool trick. Don't do it at home. So there's a way to cauterize the wound. So for the cauterize the wound, what you do, for example, if your arm is broken and the ward didn't have time to fix you, so that what they would do is they would cut the arm, and they would burn this so it doesn't bleed. So the skin close. It's very painful. Now what they used to do is instead of cauterizing, they put the gunpowder. The gunpowder will explode, but it creates a little fire, right? That's what he did. So it's less painful than fire, but it's still very painful, and that's how he fixed Charlie. Um, we have the whole saga of Hugo. Now, Jack asks John what's going on, and you can see how Jack is worried about John. Now, John says one of the most beautiful, beautiful character, and he said, and you can see I really like how they filmed it. Look at those facial expression. So this is really cool. So basically, the whole gist of it is actually kind of simple. They're talking a lot like I am, but what they're talking about is actually pretty simple. So what they're saying in this one is the fact that Jack and other characters are like, yo, John, what do you think about? He's like, Jack, you're a man of fate. You're a man of science. I'm a man of fate. I believe this island brought us here. So Jack thinks that this is an accident. John's like, no, it's destiny. It's fate. And Jack's like, yo, you're a bit nuts, bro. You're a bit nuts. Which I actually kind of like because, again, it's a whole series of, how can I put this? It's a whole series of who's right. See, in a case where there's two complete opposite, and kind of what they're perceiving, what kind of how you could perceive. I don't know. I haven't watched the show enough, but the very first thing that he said was backgammon. Backgammon was white and black, which is the dark side and the light side. That's the whole thing. Jack finds backgammon pieces, which is the light and dark. So they could be seen as the two opposites. Now, the question isn't who is the light and the dark. The question is who's right. And you should follow them. They both have valid points. Jack says, yo, we need to get out of this island. And John's like, no, we're supposed to be on this island. There's a reason for why. John did multiple things to trap them on the island. There is the very worst thing. The very worst thing is Sawyer tells Michael, like, yo, guess what? You're patient than I am because that slip I was slap him around, you know. So that's kind of like two mentalities. And the fact that this scene is right after. But right after, the other scene with Jack and John is beautiful. We get Danielle. Saeed and Charlie reach the black smokes, right? We see that Danielle is a trap. Now, this is actually kind of cool scene. This is very important. And I used to hate Charlie for what he did. But now I think, now that I watched it a second time, I'm understanding. So basically, she took the baby because she wanted the others to come back. She wanted the others to come back, that way they should kind of have a trade. In the first one, when we saw Charlie with Ethan, he killed Ethan. And this one he had a gun, he could have killed Daniel, but he insulted her instead. Now the way he's treating her is disgusting. This insult that he's saying are disgusting. However, he didn't kill Daniel, so there's kind of like an improvement in the character. Also, which is important, is Saeed gave him the choice to kill. See, Saeed gave him the gun knowing that he wouldn't kill. Like, it's up to you, but don't kill her. Right? I'm asking you nicely, don't kill her. And he doesn't kill her. Why is it nice? Because it's an evolution for Charlie. Why is it not nice? Because 12 episodes ago, we had Sawyer. The same thing for a boar. You know? So it's repeated content, and it's less meaningful because there's a second time. So then Jack admit to Kate, like, yo, they pick out straw. They pick out straw to say who was going to be carrying the dynamite. And Jack admit that he tricked the sticks. That's about how dangerous John is. So they're putting everything around, and then Hugo see that the numbers are the one he played, and he's the number that he played for the lottery, the number that he believes are cursed. They put the radar works. Guess what? There's people around, and we see a light. Now, Jin and Michael celebrating, which is, I want you guys to see the scene. It is super cool. Now, this scene is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Why? Because we're gonna see that they kidnap Walt. So this is the very first instance of the others. we know that there's other people, right? Now, beginning of season 2, we see other people, and I'm gonna give you a spoiler. The other people are actually people that were on the plane. Thanks to Ana Lucia, we know that, which we met last episode. Wait, is there a 4 part? No. There you go. That's it. Yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect. So we see that the others. Now in season 2, we know that they're not others. These are the only example that there really are others. So they kidnap Michael, and we don't know why. They break down the bridge, which kind of sucks. We get everybody back, and there's 3 scenes that are kind of sad. On one end, we lost everybody. We lost Walt. On the other end, we got Aaron back. So what did Aaron take to give back? Which again is a hint that John could be right. We have people boarding the plane, which is kind of nice, kind of sad, and that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, at the end we managed to explode the hatch and managed to open it, and we're seeing there's a hole. And this has got to be the shittiest of cliffhanger, the shittiest of ending, because they open up the hatch just to reveal a hole. There's nothing there. So now we're finished with season 1. At the end of the season, I have 10 minutes left. Finally finished. Let's go with season 1. General thoughts. Season 1 was amazing. Gotta say, possibly one of the best first season I've ever seen. There's a lot going on. It's hard to follow. You get to discover the characters. There's good intros for a lot of them. We get some kills. We get some death, which means that it's kind of important that we survive. And with the death that we have are not the most important. So it's more of a case of who matters and who doesn't, which kind of sucks to say, but at the same time, hey, I'm just being honest. So it's a really good show. I love it. I gotta say, I'm blown away by how good it is. Excited to see season 2. A lot of things that are left unanswered. So season 2 is exciting. Now, I gotta be honest. I watched till episode 10 of season 2. I didn't touch season 3. I didn't touch season 4. Season such. So for season 1, it's amazing. Season 2 is actually really, really good. I don't think the show gets worse, but hey. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.